Good evening, everybody. Brian Neubert here from goldenblack.com. I hope this video finds you well on this lovely Friday night. This is your goldenblack.com wrap video following Purdue's 87-57 win over Morehead State. How many heads? More heads. Thank you to the Purdue Club Hotel for your support as always. We appreciate it very much. I'm trying to get these videos out earlier. Mike Carmen has really been a godsend for me in terms of alleviating a lot of the post-game tedium of a game story, of transcribing, things like that. So I'm trying to get these videos done earlier, consequently quicker. You've seen so far how this is going, and me talking about this only extends the problem. At 9:54 p.m. here on a Friday night when most of my readers are probably either asleep or in jail. 87-57 Purdue over Morehead State. I almost said Morehead State over Purdue. That would have been inaccurate. You're pretty good when you win a game by 30 points and it doesn't look, as clean, as nice and tidy as a lot of fans probably would have liked it. Purdue did get off to a great start again, and then Morehead State did make some runs. This is a good Morehead State team, I think. I think they're going to be pretty salty in their league this year. I really like that Riley Minix kid. He is a nice player. So Purdue gets off to a great start. Morehead State makes a couple little runs. Purdue keeps them at arm's length the whole time, but really needed to start the second half strong to really make sure there was never a moment of doubt there in the second half. They did a good job doing that. Purdue started both the first and second halves very well. That's usually a good sign of a team's maturity and focus and things like that. Obviously easier to do at home than it would be other places, but a positive sign of Purdue's makeup, I guess you'd say. I think this was Braden Smith and Lance Jones both really pacing this win. And I say that knowing damn well Purdue still has the National Player of the Year who has done nothing to take a back seat to anyone. I just thought that Braden Smith really had this game on a string in the first half. Lance Jones was kind of rocket fuel for Purdue in this game. Lance Jones probably played a little bit of a different or greater role in this game because Ethan Morton was out. He was ill. And he gets you 15 points on 10 shots, 3 assists, 0 turnovers. That's pretty good. I'm only now reading this box score. 25 minutes, a little less than 26 minutes. Made 3 of 6 threes. I'm just reading the box score to you here. He was really good. He was really good at both ends of the floor. He's disruptive defensively. I'm eager to see from a outsider curiosity perspective what he can do for Purdue when there's a matchup that they go into a game saying we need to shut this guy's water off, whoever it might be, whether it's a Tyson Walker later in the season, whether it's a what other good guards are in the Big Ten? Somebody on Gonzaga, I'm sure. Nembhard, maybe. I want to see what he can do when he's just told to go get that guy, the way Purdue could do with No-Gel Eastern, to a certain extent, a Chris Kramer, guys like that. But he's really disruptive defensively in games like this. Really, really helps Purdue play faster. I think that's one of the big takeaways from these first 2 games, is Purdue is really trying to play fast. I think they've always kind of wanted to, but I think they have better personnel to do it now, especially in the backcourt. But he's another one of those guys who, if you just give him an opening in the open floor, he's just going to take a layup. Purdue has another guy, or a guy, I should say another guy, because Braden Smith can obviously do this, but when you give him a little space in the half court too, he will go past you. And that's, I think, something Purdue really needed on this team, and part of the reason why I talk about Lance Jones like he might have been the perfect recruit at the perfect time, that he's making shots within the framework of Purdue's offense, within the framework of Purdue's hierarchy, I think just really, really adds a lot of value to him. we knew kind of he'd make Purdue a better defensive basketball team, but I think he's really making Purdue a better offensive basketball team too, and that's kind of a mouthful because Purdue's pretty good as is. Braden Smith, I mentioned him earlier. Braden Smith's going to be the new Jaden Ivey here in terms of these videos where I probably don't need to tell you every game that Jaden Ivey's really good, so I didn't. I probably don't need to tell you every game that Braden Smith is going to be really good, because he is, and he will continue to be. And I think, as I mentioned before, in the first half, he had this game on an absolute string. His command of the offense, his command of the people around him, in terms of orchestrating people offensively and getting them the ball where they can do something with it. He had 11 assists tonight. I've covered Purdue for 20-some years, and I've not seen a lot of double-digit assist games. It just doesn't happen very often. Part of it is the nature of just college basketball. Part of it is the nature of Purdue's always kind of decentralized, assist responsibilities, traditional point guard responsibilities. Purdue's had teams where the power forward has led Purdue in assists. It's just not a big, point guard playmaking program historically. It's more of a ball movement, motion sort of program historically. But Purdue's got that guy now, the same thing they had when they had Lewis Jackson, who was the last guy who put up these types of assist numbers. And Braden Smith gets 11 of them tonight. He leaves the game 2 rebounds short of a triple-double. I, to this day, have not seen a triple-double at Purdue. Came pretty damn close tonight. But he and Zach Edey in pick and roll are just absolutely deadly. And you can tell that Smith's got a great feel for it. The two of them are on just an unbelievable wavelength. The ancillary parts around them are all also being weaponized within what Purdue's doing off that high ball screen. You saw Mason Gillis make a 3 off that today. Purdue's using its 4-man in the corner a little bit more out of that action. And I just think, Purdue, for having a 3,000-page playbook or whatever it is, can just boil things down whenever it wants to the simplest modern offense there is, and get a good shot every single time, and put pressure on defenses from 3 or 4 different pressure points at once. And I just think that that's the luxury Braden Smith gives you. Never mind the shooting for a second. The shooting's been really good to this point, but the playmaking and just the command of the offense and the synergy with Zach Edey, just transformative, something unlike anything Purdue's had since they had E'Twaun Moore and Juwan Johnson that they could just play through way back when. So your obligatory reminder that Braden Smith is really good, and your obligatory reminder that Zach Edey is also very good. And when you combine the two, very good plus very good equals, I don't know, I was told there'd be no math, but probably something along the lines of excellent. Tremendous, maybe. Depends how big a word you want to use. I think you saw tonight part of what I should have just cleanly transitioned into, and I did not, was, the other day, Zach Edey, I think, had 16 points on 6 shots. Tonight, he had 18 points on 8 shots. It doesn't matter where the points come from. So if you're looking at this box score and you're saying, this guy didn't score, that guy didn't score, doesn't matter. Purdue averaged like 1.5 points per possession, something like that, 1.4 something. Doesn't matter where the points come from. But when you look at all these mouths to feed, theoretically, that Purdue has offensively, I've talked for months about how there's a possibility Zach Edey's numbers could go down and Purdue could be better off because of it, meaning there'd be more balance in place. Zach Edey's not taking a million shots right now, and that's not the worst thing in the world for Purdue, because it means that he's got balance around him. He's got less of a burden on him now than he did last year. A big part of that is Braden Smith. A big part of it's going to be Fletcher Lawyer. The rest of the front court pieces are going to chip in. But if less touches equals more productivity for Purdue when it comes to Zach Edey, great. I mean, he's still going to get fouled. He's still going to make free throws. And he's still going to shoot a really high percentage on those shots. So this isn't a deal where you have the best player in the country and he has to take 15 shots a game. At this rate, when he gets 15 shots a game, he's going to score 35 points. But right now, you don't really need him to. You might at some point in the season, but if you can get him 8 shots and he can get 16 points, but everybody else is shooting well, and you're getting more out of the backcourt, and you're just everybody scoring and whatnot, great. It's one of those cases where if this were like a perimeter guy, you'd probably look at his shot total every game and think that, oh, hey, he needs this many touches or whatever. And I don't think that's really the case with Edey. I think productivity finds him because of his offensive rebounding and just how much pick and roll Purdue's going to use him in, and his ability to draw fouls and things like that. So there are going to be nights, and there's going to be big games maybe even, where he's under double-digit shot attempts, and he's still damn productive. And, my suspicion for him, my quote-unquote fear for him in the court of public opinion is that he's going to go from averaging 20-something points a game this year to like 18, but Purdue's going to be better because of it, and drive-bys nationally are going to look at it like, oh, his stats went down. He's not having as good a year. That's the nature of the superficiality of some of this stuff. But there are very plausible scenarios here where Purdue just doesn't need him to take 15 shots a game. Purdue doesn't need him to score 23 points a game, whatever it might be, but he'll still be damn good. He'll still be damn influential, and he still might be the best player in the country, even if the numbers look a little bit different than what they did before. You saw a couple examples tonight of Zach Edey and Trey Kaufman-Renn playing together, working. You saw what Purdue has in mind for this little mad scientist experiment they're trying to do here, where Edey fed the post in high-low from around the elbow to Kaufman-Renn, who had his guy planted at the rim. I think that's the action that you're going to see this most, but you also saw Kaufman-Renn post-to-post pass to Edey for a foul. He made both free throws, so I'll count that as an assist because I take liberties with the numbers. That's what I do. So there were 2, de facto assists from one to the other, and that worked a little bit tonight. It's not going to work in every game. Opponents are going to see it on film, and they're going to adjust to it. Might be as simple as the guy might just sag off the high-low guy at the last second and disrupt the pass, if not steal the pass. I don't know. Trey Kaufman-Renn's first entry at Arkansas was turned over because the guy in front of him was sagging off of him, and really long and really athletic, and was able to get a hand on the ball. Anyway, so that worked tonight. I would not view this as enduring reality. But Purdue obviously had no issue scoring in this game. So best number of the night, maybe 8 turnovers for Purdue. When you consider that they emptied the bench at the end again, and the last 10 to 15 minutes of this game were immaterial, and at the end you're just letting Miles Colvin go out there and cook. For them to only finish this game with 8 turnovers, I thought was really significant. It speaks not only to this team's ability to take care of the basketball, but also in a game like this, its focus and its emphasis on taking care of the basketball. Just a great sign. And, Braden Smith, that's going to be his deal this year, is he's going to have to make great decisions, take good care of the basketball, things like that. You're asking him to be more aggressive, so you're going to have to live with some things every now and then, but probably not that much. 11 assists to 2 turnovers. In my book, that's pretty good. For him. They got a couple turnovers off Zach Edey, but he was pretty good with it last year, and I'd imagine he'll be pretty good with it again this year. Offensively, this is a great game for Purdue. Defensively, I think they were pretty good. They got to do a better job stopping the dribble still, but I think that Purdue's playing better defensively than Matt Painter seems to think they are. He knows better than me, so listen to him, not me. I don't know what I'm talking about whatsoever, but they pay me to talk, so I talk anyway. I think, as I said before, this Riley Minix kid is a really nice player. A stretch 4, can do a lot of different things. Morehead State, I keep saying McNeese State, big difference. Morehead State used him as the pick-and-roll man at least once, and he made a shot, I think, over Zach Edey in a switch. But he's a guy who can drive, who can post, who can be physical, who can shoot threes. Just gave Purdue a lot of different problems in the front court. And just a good player. And proof that, in games like this, it's what what coaches always say, what Painter always says, is that there are players everywhere. Like, you play a game like this, and it's possible they have a guy or two who can really be a pain in your ass. And this guy was. And you look at this guy, and I didn't know anything about him. I knew he was their leading scorer against Alabama, but their coach said he was an NIA guy before. You don't know how this happens, because I would have looked at Riley Minix and I would have said, you put that kid in a Purdue uniform, and he doesn't look out of place at all. He looked like a legitimate player who could play at a lot of places that are a lot bigger than Morehead State. Anyway, I don't think that was an indictment of Purdue defensively as a whole, but I think they had one player that really gave them problems. Also, when you assess Purdue's defensive performance here, 57 points is not a bad number. When you look at Morehead State getting 12 second chance points, that's another number that jumps out. Is Morehead State gets 12 offensive rebounds. Samford had a bunch of offensive rebounds. I attribute that much more to the fact that these smaller schools are just coming in here chucking and running down long rebounds or getting favorable bounces than it is anything else. I don't think it's really an indictment of Purdue. It's not like people are out hustling Purdue necessarily at the rim. You know, maybe here and there on a loose ball that's wandering away from the basket, they're getting out hustled, or just not anticipating things as you'd hope they will be by the start of Big Ten play. But I just don't think that's all that big of an indictment of Purdue's overall defensive performance thus far. It's something they want to clean up, sure. Every time the shot goes up, get a body on somebody, things like that. But you know, sometimes long rebounds are just what they are. And there have been a couple of rebounds in these games where dudes are just throwing toaster ovens at the basket, and probably a bad example because toaster ovens wouldn't bounce off the backboard the way the basketball has. Or opponents have just missed shots so badly that it's just no one could have anticipated where the ball was going. So I thought this was a pretty solid game for Purdue. It is what it is. You know, you play these bye games and you just kind of get through them, and you don't get anybody hurt. You know, stuff like that. It's more about you than it is them oftentimes. And Purdue, twice in a row now, has opened these games really well, and I think that's a high compliment to this team. Things like that. Now the real games start. They got Xavier coming in here on Monday, and then after that they go to Hawaii. So things get kind of real now. So how ready Purdue is for that, hard to tell from two bye games, but they don't look ill-prepared to me. So it's going to be interesting now. So 18 minutes later, here we are. I am done. Thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. And thank you for processing our materials, however it is you process our materials. And thank you once again to the Purdue Union Club Hotel for your support. We appreciate it as always. Football game tomorrow, so be sure to sleep off your various conditions tomorrow to be ready to either come to the stadium or watch on TV. So we will have a bunch of stuff from the football game tomorrow, obviously. Mike Harmon and I will have a bunch of stuff tonight from this game. And if you haven't joined us at goldenblack.com yet, by all means, think about it. Thanks, everybody.